Hello, guys. Welcome back to a brand new Pick a Side live reaction. We are here after the Nuggets dominated the Clippers in Game 7, and it was only right that we had two Nuggets fans and one honorary Nuggets fan
My
on the
goat.
show. We have John, Jack, and Drew here. John and Jack, how are you guys feeling, number one? Because last year, traumatizing 20-point blown lead in Game 7 to now this year, you're up at halftime. It feels like everything's going right, but you guys aren't feeling so secure yet. I was texting Jack throughout the game, and he just stopped texting me at the start of the third quarter. And I was just like, yeah, I just think he's putting his phone down until this game ends. But how are you feeling now that it's finally over and the Nuggets are advancing?
I'm feeling incredible. I'm on top of the world. So I texted you at halftime, and you were like, things are looking good. And I was like, well, I've seen things look good before. And I did not text him back until Jalen Pickett checked into the game. Then I was like, okay, fine. I'll admit that they're looking pretty good right now. But yeah, I mean, after the way, not even just Game 7 last year went, but also, the way the Nuggets looked down the stretch in this regular season compared to, every other team they could have gotten seeding against, whether it's the Clippers, the Wolves finished incredibly strong in the regular season, the Warriors with Jimmy Butler, everybody was, firing on all cylinders, and the Nuggets with the Mike Malone firing just kind of, limped into the postseason. And so, to come out and dominate a very good team in the Clippers to win Game 7 in such resounding fashion. It's good. And so it's enough for me to just enjoy tonight. We don't have to look too far to the future to see what those things might look like. But tonight, I'm feeling good.
Absolutely. Last season, for I think all Nugget fans, kind of left a traumatic mark where it felt like you really can't celebrate a win until the buzzer actually officially sounds. And even in this series, there's so many different runs between Denver and the Clippers. It felt like even in this game that maybe the Clippers could spark a run in the second half. Of course, it felt like the Nuggets coasted to a victory today. And I feel like 2 days from now, the Nuggets are going to have a tough road trip starting versus the Thunder. But for right now, I'm just looking forward to celebrating and kind of appreciating what was the best series in the first round.
Yes, definitely.
Never thought that I would be so happy to be called an honorary Nuggets fan. Definitely feel great. I was rooting for the Nuggets like I was a day one fan. Sorry to all my Laker bros. I know that sounds terrible to hear, but it's truth. I did not want to see the Clippers win. Clippers fans have been really, really, really confident about this team. And there was some valid reason. Kawhi Leonard healthy for the first time come playoff time. James Harden, last 2 months of the season, had people fooled, thinking that he deserved first-team All-NBA. That's a different conversation. Let me not drag that. But an amazing Game 6. Clippers fans are feeling back. They're feeling great, confident. And then you go and you lay this dud on the world. It's really unfortunate for Clippers fans. I feel for you guys. As a guy who also is in Cancun, it'll be nice to have you guys sitting aside me. We can enjoy some nice Miami Vices, pina coladas, whatever your guys is your cup of tea. That being said, Nuggets, a job well done. Jack, appreciate you coming on the show. Congratulations. This is maybe the first time in Pick-A-Side history that you and I are going to be on the same side.
Yeah.
And it's actually a breath of fresh air. I love this feeling personally. It feels good to acknowledge the best in the world who really wasn't the best version of himself.
It's called impacting the game beyond the box score.
And you know what? That means a lot to me as a JG supporter and his impact beyond the box score, 1,000%. I don't want to put Yoke in that category of guys. But what a team effort from the Nuggets today. And John, my brother, the only one who believed in the Nuggets all year round. I was more quiet than you were, but I was definitely vocal in my support of Denver. But for you to stand 10 the way that you did, for the last month of the season, for you to get ridiculed the way that you did and never waver, this victory lap is justified, my friend. Congratulations to you.
I appreciate that because I was told a month ago they weren't a top 5 team in the West, and I
Talk to him. Talk to him.
I was told coming into this series by Riv, who's not here tonight, and yes, Riv, I'm coming for your head tonight. In quotes, not to be a dick, but unless Kawhi gets hurt, I don't see a way the Nuggets can win this series. Tough one because Kawhi played all 7 games and
he was mid.
And,
I think, I don't know, it was crazy how we got that insane Kawhi game, and then they were like, Okay, hard double.
Playoff performer ever.
Hard double at the level of the screen every possession, and he was like, "What do I do?" And that was like the next like 5 games. And I mean, I'm saying this shit now in retrospect. I did not want to say a breath about it while it was happening because I thought it was gonna jinx it. But like, yeah, I mean, outside of that insane like 39 without missing a shot or whatever, for as far as like healthy Kawhi goes, if you had told me at the start of the season Kawhi plays all 7 and we're not getting like weird reports about him getting injections or something in game 5, I would have thought it was like, a fireworks series between him and Jokic. And that's just not how this series played out at all.
At all.
I felt like there's 2 versions of the Nuggets. The one with Mike Malone and the one with David Adelman. I feel like now, since they won a first-round series, you can say the firing was justified because they were playing no defense with Mike Malone. And I think that David Adelman gave them more energy and also held the players a little bit more accountable. If Russell Westbrook wasn't playing if he was playing poorly, he's not going to be out there. And I feel the entire series, he managed that perfectly. It was not on my bingo card that Russell Westbrook was going to shoot the way that he shot in this series.
I didn't.
So impactful for this entire series. And Jokic, like you mentioned, not the best in the world type of series statistically, but his effort defensively was so great from start to finish. And I would say really the flip switched game 3 on. He just flipped the switch and they started icing those Harden pick and rolls. He wasn't getting the same angles to the basket, and his hands were active as well in just getting steals and deterring passing lanes. So overall, I thought Denver's defense was a huge reason why they won this series. Game 7s to me are a little bit overrated. We always get excited for them because all day long we're waiting for this do or die moment. It's like an NFL playoff game. There's a single game elimination. And I looked at the numbers because I wanted to check myself on it too. The last 10 game 7s, 7 of them have been blowouts. We get some great games. Don't get me wrong. The Timberwolves and Nuggets last year, where the Timberwolves came back. But last year, we also got a game 7 with the Knicks and the Pacers that was a complete blowout after the first half. Like, there's just teams that come out so much better. And that's what the Nuggets felt like in this one. The Clippers never for a second felt like they were in rhythm. I thought the Derrick Jones Jr. and Chris Dunn minutes offensively really hurt them. They went so many possessions in a row where they were the last players with the ball taking a shot, and the Nuggets just completely ignored them on the perimeter. But then the only other guys they could bring in are Bogdanovic or Batum. You're sacrificing defense. It really did feel like after game 5, the Nuggets had a lot of answers for what the Clippers wanted to do. And this was just like the biggest example of it. And the Clippers looked so old and so slow in this closeout game.
Before we move on to Clippers hate, which I look forward to, I want to wrap this up by saying Aaron Gordon I feel like the entirety of this season, mostly due to injury and not being available for a good portion, he's probably the most underappreciated role player in basketball. And the leap that we've seen him take as a jump shooter as well. But you saw in wins how impactful he was. And I'm not just talking about the game-winning dunk, just his input to offense on top of obviously what he means to your guys' defense. An energy guy. And you already mentioned highlighting Russell Westbrook. I mean, a guy that deserves his flowers is Russell Westbrook. This was one of the best playoff series that we've seen out of Russ in some time. And I also say that where there were not moments where Russ was maybe in spurts, of course. I'm thinking game 1.
Like key plays.
Correct.
But
But for a majority of this series, Russell Westbrook was overly impactful. And in due part of that was one, obviously the hustle that he's going to give you every single night. That's never going to waver. But Joel, like you mentioned, his ability to spot up and make jump shots completely ruined what the Clippers wanted to do defensively. And if Russell's hitting his shots, we've always known that that's when obviously it becomes hard to defend him because you live with those. But if Russ is knocking down their shots, there's not really that much of a weakness when you look at the Nuggets offense when they have those guys out there. Christian Brown definitely was the guy that I was expecting a little bit more out of consistency-wise in this series. But nevertheless, the fact that you were able to have the the Nuggets go ahead and dominate the Clippers that they did in this game while Jokic wasn't all world. And that's, like we've mentioned, that's not just this game. Jokic wasn't the best version of himself in this series. And you can argue, while he's been the man, this is probably the worst playoff series that we've seen out of Jokic. But what he did that nobody saw was improve his defensive ability. And I think that that's really one of the reasons why you look at the Nuggets coming away with this series win.
Yeah, I think two things you said. First of all, the Aaron Gordon shooting thing, I would just single out, like, it's so based. Like, for him to go to the free throw line and for me to just be like, okay, it's cool. It feels like Jamal Murray is at the free throw line or something. For a team that, I mean, they lost several of these games because Jokic and Christian Brown and Westbrook and whoever didn't hit their free throws.
Yep.
For Aaron Gordon to be able to shoot like that, it's insane. Not even to like touch on the three-point shooting
no
and
doubt.
everything. And then also Jokic, like the whole defensive thing, and since he became an MVP, it's the worst offensive series I've seen him play, no doubt about it. And it's just like when you go back and watch the way that Chris Paul just nuked them when it was that Suns series where they got swept.
Yeah.
DeAndre Ayton was like the Jokic stopper or whatever. The defense, if you go like from then to now, and obviously the personnel around him, even though it's not elite right now, it was light years better than it was in that series. His individual defense and just like his motor and his willingness to like play all these different styles, it's so much different. And so, yeah, I mean, there are a number of guys in the first round who were better, like had 7, 6, 5 better games or whatever. But yeah, like it's incredible for the Nuggets to win a series where he doesn't look like Jokic.
This was a big win for the supporting cast and role players because for anybody that had Denver winning the series, you're probably thinking to yourself, this is going to be a Jokic Herculean effort, and we'll see if we can get anybody to contribute on a consistent basis. And it ended up becoming every player contributing in spurts. Russell Westbrook had his huge game one moments where he was huge on the glass and hit a big time three. Jamal Murray had a vintage Jamal Murray game in this series to where like that's the best game he's had since the finals run. Aaron Gordon, super impactful throughout the entire thing. And Christian Brown, he just makes winning plays. And
he does.
This transitions perfectly into the Harden point. He was the main agitator on Harden this entire series. Harden had the fantastic game 6 performance. He was so awful in this game. 7 points, 2 for 8, 1 for 4 from 3. To start it, I thought he was playing pretty well, though. He had 6 assists in the first quarter. He was playmaking. He was showcasing defensive effort. But you can't be the second best player on a team and have the amount of shot attempts that he had. And that's another area where I feel like Kawhi Leonard also wasn't great. He had 13 shot attempts in this game. And that's just unacceptable. You are deferring to Derrick Jones Jr. and Chris Dunn when you know they can't shoot and hoping that they're just going to all of a sudden become positive shooters instead of taking the game into your own hands. James Harden laid an egg. I feel like at this point, nobody's surprised by that. And that's why whenever Harden has a stretch of games where he's clearly on a heater and they want to put him into Dwayne Wade talks, as a Harden fan myself, I'll pause because we cannot ignore the playoff blunders and we cannot overlook what Dwayne Wade accomplished in the playoffs when he went on that 06 run and had one of the best finals runs in the history of the NBA. So that's what's always going to separate someone like Dwayne Wade from James Harden. But the story of Kawhi Leonard is when he has great moments, that's all that's talked about. But his woes don't get brought up. You don't hear about Game 7 in the bubble against the Nuggets.
You don't.
And in this series, outside of one game, Kawhi hasn't looked elite. He played a good series. It was far from an elite level series. Far from that.
Yeah.
Steph Curry or Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs, who would you take?
Oh, I'll take
2019 Kawhi.
No. I asked you a question.
You're talking like right now?
No, just in general. Just like you take the
in general, Kawhi. But right now, I'm going Steph.
In general, I guess Kawhi, but like
really,
It's very close. I mean, I don't know. Like
The best version of Kawhi is definitely close.
The best
Well,
version
because-
of Kawhi is 6 years ago. It's
well, that's why
That's why we asked you the question.
damn
That's
it,
what you
dude.
were looking for.
years. 6 years.
Hey, right now I will take Steph. Right now
my
I'll take Steph. That's
God.
what I'm talking about. Yeah, I think with
Mine.
Kawhi this series, it's definitely a test to, and like aside from the way that he's talked about and everything as like you know, when we ignore the bad and we only look at the good or whatever, this is just like a real testament to, I do think the downhill aspect of his game is just like really taking a hit with all of these injuries and everything. He's not the same guy. And like if he was that guy, the Nuggets don't have the caliber of wing defenders to stop like a really good version of Kawhi Leonard from getting to the rim. And so, you know, when the jump shot gets the way that it did in game 2 or 3 or whatever it was, then he could still be, you know, Kawhi Leonard. But when that jump shot is just like a little bit more inconsistent and it feels like his overall offense just like he really takes a step back, it's much more difficult for him to have like a play-by-play high impact on that end of the floor.
No, I really I struggle to sit with this Clippers team for the sole fact of the ups and the downs that must be a Clippers fan personally. Now, I look at the way that they came into this playoffs and everybody's buying the hype. Obviously, they look so great. And then the Nuggets obviously coming in. And I mean, there was no team that was put under the worst reputation more than the Nuggets. You could argue the Timberwolves because obviously everybody was throwing the Lakers in 5. Nobody really respected the Wolves. They really should, me included.
That was more so because people thought the Lakers were better than what they were.
100% well
We
said.
thought the Nuggets were pretty much done.
We thought they were done due to circumstance that, one, their defense for a majority of the season was wildly underwhelming, and that's being kind. And then 2, you don't know what you're getting from Jamal Murray. You're now 3, your coach gets fired 4 games before the playoffs start. But you saw in those few moments prior to the playoffs starting, whoa, this defense is acting irregular. Like, okay, they're actually playing with effort. They go into this series versus a Clippers team where you know that you have Harden, you have Kawhi. If these two go at it and they are healthy, you trust that they can go out there. The one thing that you struggle to sit with is, wow, I have to trust James Harden. I have to trust James Harden for 7 games to be the guy. And you have moments like game 6 where he can go ahead and force you a game 7, but can he close out in a game 7? Unfortunately for James Harden's career, we haven't seen that on a consistent basis. And it sucks for me being your friend, Joel, to hear you accept reality about James Harden and what the reality is. Because as your friend, I want to see your agendas thrive, your fandoms, I want to see them be successful. But when it comes to James Harden, in the big moments, unfortunately, he's the smallest.
Yeah,
It
this
is
has
truly
been the
crazy.
case for Harden. I feel like I'm not surprised at this point. The last real moment where my entire soul was poured into a Harden playoff was 2019. I don't know if you guys remember. I think it was game 6 where Steph Curry in the first half was terrible. I think he had 0 points. And then in the second half, he just erupted
30.
for 30.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, like I poured my soul into this. No Kevin Durant.
I was going to say,
This is the most beatable the Warriors are.
I would also argue that you put your heart and soul into that Nets team as well.
He got hurt though.
But your heart was in it. You were on
Yeah.
television with the beard, the
He
Nets
got-
jersey.
because that was the year he should have won a title. That was the year.
And then what happened? On a grade 2 hammy, he goes 2 for 13, and 95% of those shots were wide open.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the grade 2 hammy. That's a really important.
No, I'm all
piece of
about
information.
context. I'm
Yeah.
all about context.
No, but that's just the story of Harden's career. Game 6, game 7, you look at his numbers, they're not very good. You mentioned that about Kawhi Leonard, about just how the injuries pretty much caught up to him. He doesn't have that burst.
That's a good point, Jack.
I feel like Kawhi has those really high highs. The positive I want to take away from this series is that we finally got to see Kawhi Leonard finish a playoff series, and I think that's the one positive of it all.
That's a good point.
But John, I don't know where you want to go with this. If you wanted to keep talking about the Nuggets or just what's next for the Clippers, how
I
are you
want to go
feeling?
Clippers first because there's a couple different parts of this series which I felt like were kind of building up to this game as a climax. And I think the biggest thing that stood out to us, especially in game 6, was how much they relied on isolation ball. And it was working with how well Harden was playing. And I think to Harden's credit, this year he was superb than the season. I think he deserves a lot of credit and gave himself a great All-NBA case the way he was playing. Nights like tonight kind of highlight two things. I think one, defensively, the Nuggets have ramped up their level of play, if you guys have highlighted. One player we haven't mentioned, Peyton Watson. He had one terrible foul in the Kawhi end one. With exception to that, he played excellent, I felt like, off the bench. And in every game that they've won, it's been Peyton Watson giving you a ton of energy. It's been Russell Westbrook being valuable on the offensive end. He shot 41% from three in this revenge series. And I do think that made it more challenging on Harden to be as consistent as the Clippers needed him to be. But I felt like part of it was the Clippers were running their offense far too much through Harden without having that second playmaker and on-ball creator. And at that point, that's where you have to lean on Kawhi to be a lot more of that downhill force. And we kind of saw this year, compared to the last couple of years, he wasn't the same dominant scorer in his per minute splits. And I felt like we did see a little bit of that outside of game 2, where it's just one of the best shooting performances we've seen over our last decade. So for the Clippers, I felt like we kind of felt like this was coming. Harden was going to have that game where he fizzles out as a scorer, relies on his teammates by organized playmaker. But unfortunately, felt like they were spending way too much time, wasting time, taking 10 seconds to get into Harden driving possessions. I feel like that kind of affected the rhythm of guys like Norman Powell, who didn't play well. And one thing that I found kind of interesting, I think this is an important thing that we don't talk about. I was watching this game at best friend Brandon, and he asked, how much of this falls in Tyronn Lue, just coming to Ball Arena and just getting absolutely smoked in Game 7. And I feel like Tyronn Lue should have a little bit more responsibility and getting everyone else involved in the offensive end. And I feel like there should have been a little bit more creativity. I did like the decision to move with Nick Batum in the second half. I don't know if I jinxed him before the game by saying I am terrified of Nick Batum. He only had 3 points today, thank God, because I do go to sleep at night fearful of his no-dip three-pointers, no matter how good the contest is. But I felt like Tyronn Lue did a fine job in the series. That being said, he could have done a better job really allowing Kawhi to be a more impactful and consistent force in the offense. I just felt like the offense lived and died by Harden. Unfortunately, like you highlighted, Joel, and I don't like doing this, but every year it comes back to the Harden versus D-Wade comparisons. And it's poetic that then every single year in the postseason, nights like tonight reinforce the fact that Harden has never reached the same height as Dwayne Wade. And nights like this just amplify that more and more, where he didn't go 2 of 11 this time. It was 2 of 7. But I do think it's really a tough way to kind of reflect on what's been a great season for him. So I'm not going to give him too much hate for this. As for the Nuggets, I really think that this series came down to, like you guys highlighted, Christian Brown. This was the best game that he played. Deserves a lot of credit for today. Early in the game, he set a first 5 points of the game, set a tone, I should say. And then Russell Westbrook and Peyton Watson, what they needed off the bench. And before the series started, I had the Nuggets winning 7 games. And my biggest key was that Russell Westbrook had to be solid.
Perfect. Spot on.
He had to be stellar. He had to be consistent. And he was in the series. Even the nights where the box score didn't suggest he was efficient, which he wasn't, he was making a huge impact off the bench.
Like game 1, no doubt.
Well more than serviceable. He was really good for them in the series, and they do not win it without him. And I think it goes back to game 1. We talked about this in the post-game reaction. I said in a night like game 1 where the Nuggets could not hit a shot, but they pull away with the win at home, it's those gritty wins where you're winning the glass or taking care of the ball, Kawhi 7 turnovers, and you win a game that you kind of shouldn't, but you just take that win at home. It's games like that that decide a series. Because that game right there, I think, to me, was what set the tone, and it gave the Nuggets that cushion. And that is how I think championship teams kind of set a stage. And I think it goes back to Jokic looking the best he's had. And this is the closest level he's been to since 2023, whether it's defensively, the three-point shooting, made 45% of his shots in the series. And then even in a game like today where he only had 16 points and rebounds, everybody else got going. This was the first time in Game 7 history where 6 different players finished with 14-plus points. I think that's a testament to how much he's gotten everyone else going. And I think what you guys laid out so well, this series was a testament to the role players stepping up big time.
And I will say it's shocking to me, more than anything else, that we really didn't get the best offensive version of Yoke on a game-to-game basis.
Zubats.
And
Zubats, I mean, he played his ass off. It's yeah.
There's a reason why we're talking about legitimately every single player on the Clippers selling, except for the addition by subtraction guy, who did not show up today. Not at all.
Subtraction by subtraction tonight.
Talk. That being said, Zubac, there's a reason we haven't talked about him, because he really was the bright spot of this Clippers team from game 1 to game 7. I really genuinely, I think we all understand that. I'm just floored that the Clippers weren't able to take advantage of that more. Especially, I understand they did force it into a game 7. You didn't get the best version of Jokic in this game either. And then you just lay a dud offensively. It's a credit to both what the Nuggets were able to do defensively, but then it's also it's an acknowledgement that the star players on the Clippers simply didn't rise to the occasion.
Yeah, I will say, shout out to Christian Brown, because after the game 6 loss, he was in the locker room and he had a quote to the press where he was like, my screensaver on my phone is the minutes that I played in the game 7 loss to the Wolves last year. And it was just like, dude,
he's like such a leader for the team.
Why are we clip farming right now? Just win game 6. Like, why do you need to do this?
You should be grateful for that in hindsight now, Jack.
Hey, it's a big step forward for him. It's a landmark moment in his career. Shout out to Christian Brown. Oh my God, yeah.
This is now twice, because the first time he's like, man, I just feel like it's on me. The responsibility is on me to go ahead and rally the guys.
Christian Brown has like aged 8 years in the last
He's
month.
A dog. Yes.
He's a leader.
He's going to be bald, though, for sure. If you guys see his hairline, like, he's going to be like a 28-year-old. Yeah, it's
Game
happening.
7 was such a blowout that it feels like the Nuggets were like just a better team all series long. But the close games are just what matters, and being able to close those out so much. You look at game 1, the Russell Westbrook 3 and the offensive rebounds that killed the Clippers. You look back to game 5 where the Clippers make a 20-point comeback and Denver's able to still win that game down the stretch. Those are the moments in where the series was won. As important as game 7 is as much as this game means, those are really the moments where this series was won. And it was a testament to Denver's resilience. And you kind of got the clear distinction between one team clearly has been here before. They have been battle tested, and then one team kind of shrunk in those same moments.
I also agree with what you're saying, though, because there's times where we look at a 7-game series, and like a good portion of this series has been, that we often look at it as a coin flip, because I think that these two teams definitely played each other right to the brink. But in game 7s where the result is this, to me personally, it shows you who the better team was. If you come out here and you absolutely put belt to ass in the biggest game of the series, obviously the one that's going to be decided, you're showing that you were the better team. If you can go out there and you squeak out a 2, 3, 4-point victory, no, you were the better team for sure. You were able to pull it out, but it wasn't as if you definitively left your mark on that. You may have won, but it was a dogfight. In a game like tonight, it showed me at least that there was a separator. And that was very obviously the role players from the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah. And then on the Clippers side, it's just like, I don't know. It's crazy how, because like this didn't feel like an overwhelming offensive game to me from the Nuggets role players, even though statistically you go look and it's like Westbrook nearly 20, Christian Brown had 20. It was just like all of these energy plays.
And
that goes back to like what you're saying with Watson, John, is like Peyton Watson, Christian Brown, Russell Westbrook. Even when they're up like 28 points, you saw Westbrook get the tech in the fourth quarter on purpose because he's a fucking psychopath. And it's just like, there was none of that at any point in the game from like any avenue, from Zubats, from Powell, from Derek Jones Jr., from Nick Batum, who all had great series, but there was no like serious spark from any of those guys in a game where it also didn't come from your star players. And so when I don't know, maybe it's like a resiliency thing. I don't know exactly like what the point is here, but it's like, damn, it's really tough to then see this Clippers team making some like around the edges changes over the offseason and then being like, we could beat OKC or like that's it's tough to envision that.
I can't even lie. The biggest spark the Clippers had this game was probably the first 3 minutes from Derrick Jones Jr. Outside of that, they felt flat the entire game.
Do you know who's a winner, believe it or not, in this? Mike Malone, for his confidence that he showed in Russell Westbrook. Because one of the reasons why people felt as if Mike Malone wasn't doing his job was because Mike Malone was playing him too much. Mike Malone believed in Russell Westbrook too much. We saw firsthand what happens when you believe in Russell Westbrook. I also want to say this is a win for Nikola Jokic free agency vision. Because Nikola Jokic, prior to the season, said, I want one guy. Go and get me Russell Westbrook. I need Russell Westbrook. And we looked at him and we called him dumb. And we said, you got to be better at evaluating Jokic. That's a stain. This is like one of the only stains that he had coming into this offseason. And now he has none again. Except you want to call Zubac being the Jokic stopper. Two wins here that really aren't going to be spoken
Is
about.
Jokic the GM better than the GM?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
I would argue
man.
so.
We're asking the real questions
I'm
here.
going to say no because
When
had the
LeBron
championship
drafted
with
Westbrook,
3
it was
teams.
bad. But when Jokic drafted Westbrook, it was good.
You know why? Because Jokic lets Russ be Russ.
Yeah. It is. I don't know, because it's also like not the same version of LeBron or whatever. But like,
No, I also just capped. I capped.
Hey, whatever. Yeah, it's such. And for Westbrook to play like this, dude, like,
You're shocked?
I mean, I'm not like floored, but
41%.
yes, that's what I'm saying. Is like you see all these high energy plays. If you showed me all the
Ask KCP. Ask him how it went in Orlando this year. He couldn't hit water from a boat, even if he was
Well,
down
dude,
south.
when's the last time that Westbrook was this impactful in a playoff series outside of when he was on the Clippers and Paul George and Kawhi got hurt and he just had to like eat up every possession? Like, when's the last time he felt this impactful?
It's probably OKC. Like
I was thinking 2020 bubble, but like even still, that wasn't the best version of him because he wasn't 100%.
Like this,
and
series,
they had to
he was
like get rid
incredible.
of Capella and like that. It like fucked with everything Houston had like kind of built the roster around. It was very he's been insane.
Yeah, so I feel like every year I do like a teams in no man's land list. I think the Clippers are making the team in no man's land list, even though they have all-stars.
I love this 180.
Kawhi's an all-star. He didn't make it because of obviously he didn't play enough games, but Harden made the all-star game. He's gonna make an all-NBA team, I think. Zubac, I think, is an all-star level player.
I agree.
But no picks, no cap space, an aging roster, the question that's looming around the organization at all times about Kawhi Leonard's health, the regression of those older players. It does feel like in order for the Clippers to get better, they have to trade one of Derrick Jones Jr., Bogdanovich, or Norman Powell. And the market for those guys, what really is it? It's non-existent. I don't think teams out there are dying to get any of those three.
You don't
So
think
you
they
look-
want addition by subtraction?
I don't think
Hey,
so.
Norm
He's just a
Powell would
scorer.
change the Orlando Magic's life.
I'll
I'll tell you that
no.
right now.
I won't say no.
But then simultaneously, the Clippers have to trade one of those guys and get back a player that can defend and shoot, because that was clearly the biggest detriment to them offensively this series. And it just feels like they're stuck. If they do make the playoffs, it's going to end in a first or second round exit. You're hoping that they're healthy, but overall, it's an old team that doesn't have an avenue to have a future and rebuild properly from the
You're
ground
going
up.
to struggle to score against the Nuggets. And Jack and John, I say this
The
with love and
Demon
respect.
Nuggets, the Adelman
No, you're right.
Nuggets,
The Adelman
baby.
Nuggets are a different demon. You're right. You're 100% right. I will finish the statement. If you're going to struggle to score against the Nuggets, I fear you're cooked.
I mean, who's better on defense, OKC or Denver? It's like, what are we doing here? Yeah,
Exactly.
The idea of the Clippers facing OKC was haunting. It was like, how are they going to generate any offense consistently?
You think Christian Brown's a dog? Lou Dort's gonna kill you. Like,
No, the thing that kills me is that people were like, yo, the Clippers, they could upset OKC. They got the star power, Kawhi Leonard, the playoff demon. They could do it. That's the only reason why I don't love at all the way how this ended. Because there's a lot of people that are going to be like, oh, it's the Nuggets, it's Jokic, it's the best in the world. They fought game 7. There was a lot of conversations that they could upset a lot of great teams. And you caught the Nuggets at their most vulnerable, and you still fell short. It wasn't game 7, but you lost by almost 75 points.
Now, we have some super chats, and we'll get into the second round quick fire predictions. Matthew Miller goes, James Harden is the worst great player ever in meaningful basketball games. He literally quits 54 games with 4 field goal attempts or less. Maybe quits his has. All-time quitter.
Is this an all-time super chat? I love a backhanded comment. The worst great player ever. That's a bar.
John Stockton.
John
Morally.
Stockton had some moments in the finals.
Yeah, Joe, hey, he had 9 points in the final. Whatever. Man.
I suck toes goes death taxes and Harden not showing up.
Shout out to my goat toes. That being said,
It's a recurring cycle.
I mean,
Now-
yeah.
Mason goes every year. I just want one finals run.
That one hurt. I felt that
oh
one.
Jesus, that hurt. Who did that hurt?
No, like as a sports fan, like the heartbroken emoji. It's like, damn, I
You know
can
what?
resonate with that.
You know
pain.
what? I
John's an
apologize
empath.
to you, Mason. John, sometimes I need to remember that I am a human being first. Thank you for that, John. That being said,
Anytime.
pick new teams.
And
What
now
so imagine like the Lakers didn't get like a top 5 player every 7 years.
Here's the thing, Jack.
And that would be really sad, right?
Yeah,
You would feel
really.
bad about
Here's
that.
the thing, Jack. Choose better fandoms. Who said be a Clippers fan? Who?
Oh man, yeah.
You know,
You're
I
right.
would,
You're
I would
right.
argue.
Guys, let's use Jack and John as examples. You guys said, this is cool. Nikola Jokic. He's weird. I've
I
never
was
seen
like,
a player
he's better than Julio Okafor. That's what I
Hulk.
said. And look at
He's-
me now.
Very
That-
new-
I
very
remember you
chill.
telling me the Carl Anthony Towns conversations. Things got nasty. You always rode. Look at how rewarded you've been for choosing this fandom. Obscure, weird. Who in God's name led him to being a Clippers fan? Who?
You know, I would argue that since 2012, and I'm not going to argue it that much, but it's just how I feel. Since 2012, the Clippers have been a better ran organization than the Lakers.
Oh my God! Guess what they have to show for it? One WCF.
It helps when LeBron chooses to go to LA and then forces
welcome
them to
to
trade
LA,
for
baby.
Anthony Davis.
Yeah, and Kawhi Leonard chose them, and they've gotten fucking shit.
They went to,
You can't have a conversation with like these people. I swear. It's
Jack. This episode we're on different timing. Relax.
I guess.
Relax.
Honorary Nuggets
Hey,
fan.
you're
I
right.
haven't
You're right.
shit on
You're
the
right. Hey,
Nuggets
hey.
not once.
Okay,
I've
you're
actually
right.
done nothing but glaze them this entire 37
All right.
minutes.
Demon Rob Pelinka, fleece
Thank
of the
you.
century. You
We're
know,
back.
like
that's why.
yeah.
That's why, Jack. How do you think I felt when I found out Luka got traded to the Lakers of all teams?
Probably. I don't know.
I was just like, okay.
The only
No,
people
no, I
that
don't.
were happy were Lakers fans. Literally, nobody else was happy.
I
No
feel like
one.
every part of
I
basketball.
think Nico
community
Harrison was happy.
hoping that Luka just leaves. He leaves a year from now.
That would be huge for
Those-
you guys. Listen,
He goes to the Knicks.
I don't know how realistic that is, but hey, I hope Luka the best. If that's what he chooses to do, he would be dead to me.
So
But-
we're gonna do some quick fire second round series predictions. Predicting the second round of the NBA playoffs: Cavaliers versus Pacers. Who wins and how many games?
This is going to be one of the better second round series, in my opinion, because I really do respect the Pacers. I do think I lean the Cavaliers in 7 games. I think this is a great series. I think the Cavaliers, they played strong basketball, obviously, towards the end of that Heat series, but there were moments where the Heat were really testing them. I do also think that this Pacers offense is legit. I do think that they're going to, let me not say have an easy time scoring the basketball, but I think that how efficient that offense is. I think that especially with the way that we saw Cleveland play defense from 2025 at the start to where we're at right now, I think that the Pacers are simply too hot right now for it to be an easy dog walk for the Cavaliers. I will say, though, I do think that the Cavaliers are the slight better team, so much so that I will give them the edge in Game 7 because they closed out in an emphatic fashion to go ahead and finish that series against the Miami Heat in 4. But again, I do think the Pacers do deem that respect. Halliburton's been playing excellent basketball. You didn't get the best version of Pascal Siakam in that Milwaukee Bucks series. I just think that the role players for Indiana have been playing so great. That being said, Cavaliers, there's just so much to like about them, from the offense, obviously, to that depth that they have, the way that Ty Jerome played against that Miami Heat series. I don't know how far along this Pacers defense is going to be, where I don't see the Cavaliers being able to get after it against them.
I'll cut to the chase. Cavs in 6.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling a combination. I respect the hell out of the Pacers. Everything Drew just said, I'm on board with it. I do think it boils down to more. I think the Cavs will probably score more easily on the Pacers than
100%.
vice versa. And especially when I look at the Miles Turner is so important to the Pacers offense. And I think when you look at Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, it's just so much better personnel to throw at him than a Brook Lopez. I think that's a pretty big wrench. Yeah, I'm going Cavs in 6 here.
I think the Pacers are a very tough team to play against. They made it tough on Boston in the conference finals, and they still got swept. So I think as long as the Cavaliers win those close games, and I think they've been a better clutch team, it's just so hard to guard Garland and Mitchell and that front court. And they have Ty Jerome and Hunter off the bench. Those are 2 6 Men of the Year candidates with their shooting, with their front court, with their defense. I'm going to go with Cavs in 6, but I think the Pacers make it a tough fight.
They're going to put up a fight.
The Celtics versus the Knicks.
It's just going to break my heart to see the Celtics win this series in 5 or 6 games. I'm going to say Celtics in 6 to respect our boys, Joel. I don't see a world where the Knicks move on, and it breaks my heart. I wish I could delude myself into thinking it.
It sucks that this has been, I think this series is easily the snooze fest of the second round.
Oh, God, that's
with all due respect to the Knicks. I don't think they have a chance, and I think the Celtics are going to beat us in 5.
This is what they brought in Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns for, and as simple as it sounds, they need B+ to A level series from each of those 2 guys.
A+
just to go to 6-7 games.
But what he asked for was reasonable. He said B+, and I think that's reasonable.
I don't think B+ takes it 7 games.
I agree with you, Jack. I agree with you.
6, a competitive 6 is what I'm getting at, or a lukewarm 7. I have the series going to 5 or 6. I'm gonna lean with 5 games. It seems like Drew Holiday, who's day to day, has been ramping up, doing everything in practice. He plays game 1. You can put Drew Holiday and Karl Anthony Towns. You can put Drew and so many different guys. I feel like Boston's giving him a lot of problems when Al Horford comes on the floor, because he's been great no matter how old he is, 29, 39, doesn't matter. My issue and my question with the Knicks is just, it's so similar to this Clipper team where they relied on Harden a lot. But in the Knicks case, it's so much Brunson ball. I feel like, and this is that Thibodeau thing, you need to involve Cat a lot more in the offense. And I worry about him fading out, especially with the perimeter defenders that can kind of stonewall him. So I'm going to go with the Celtics here in a competitive 5 games. It'll feel like you're going to go to 6, and now it's going to go to 5.
Yeah, I'm going Celtics in 5. 6, every time I put a ceiling on Brunson, he blasts through it. It's just I'm like, hey, I don't expect him to be able to do something, and then he just goes and does it. And so if that happens again, I love him, top 10 player. I've been saying it the whole season and everything. It's just when I look at this, I'm like, what is he going to average 50? To logically for the Knicks to win this series or go 7 games, it would so much. I just need to make these massive leaps of okay, 28 points per game for OG or something like that. It's just there's so many different avenues for the Celtics to have a bad game in some capacity and still beat a nearly perfect night from the Knicks.
Let me throw this at you. You get Jalen Brunson being Jalen Brunson. What he's given you so far in that first series, you get it again in round 2. You get Mikal Bridges from games 4 to 6. You get Karl Anthony Towns averaging about 23 points per game, and you get OG, who you've gotten basically post Jalen Brunson injury, do the Knicks stand a chance to win this series? Yes or no?
No.
No. 23 from Cat is just not enough. That's
So there
like,
it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
yeah.
No, there's no way. Have you guys seen the clips on Twitter of high school Tatum and Brunson going at each other?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen that.
They played in high school, and they were two of the top ranked players in the country, and they have like a whole battle.
That's lit. You
Yeah,
have
at
to
the high
send that
school
to me
level.
after this.
And I think Brunson got the better of him in that matchup, but it
Wouldn't
is high
surprise
school.
me. Wouldn't be the first time, and it won't be the last.
Yeah, I mean, if you told me Brunson ended up being like the best player in this series, it's definitely possible. I think he's gonna have like Holiday and White can guard him better than the wings can guard Jason Tatum.
agreed.
I would say, but
Yeah.
like he's one of the best tough shot makers I've ever seen. Nothing but respect for Brunson. It's just like a roster difference to me.
Well, we have to pray on that. Because if Brunson outduels Tatum, we can get nasty.
I think the Celtics fans and the Tatum fans, this has been a great first round for them because every superstar player has had a bad shooting night and their teams have won. And then Tatum fans are just like, see, it happens to other people besides Tatum. So now that's like their checkmate they go to. But
Jokic FC won today too, man. Shout out to Players Choice. Shout out to OG, man. Jokic FC won today because there was going to be some nasty conversation being had. Not by me personally. I just want to have that on record.
I checked the box score. He was 2 for 8. I was like, dude, if they lose this game, and now it doesn't matter. Now nobody gives a shit. But like,
Who cares?
Oh my god, yeah,
exactly.
But if tonight could have went a little bit differently, the conversations would have been nauseating.
OKC versus the Clippers.
Nuggets.
OKC in a calm.
Oh,
five.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Damn.
I'm sorry.
He
In
wrote
my
his notes
mind.
before the game.
Yeah, he
Wow.
really
Yeah.
liked him.
OKC versus the Nuggets.
I'm going to say with respect to the boys, we had an amazing episode together. I genuinely appreciated the bond that we shared for these minutes. That being said, my love ends here. I had my time in the sun. It's over. It was amazing. I just want to say that. OKC in 5.
Yeah, you want to go more, but and I'll say OKC in 6 because I want it to go that way, and I'm rooting for the Nuggets no matter what. It's just incredible. Like this Thunder team is so much better than a Clippers team that honestly it feels very miraculous that the Nuggets beat. Like if you go back and look at the margins of that series, it's insane that the Nuggets won that. And so, yeah, I'll say OKC in 6. But like I do think this will be much better Jokic series. I'm hoping for that.
Yeah, it's tough because just like the Cavaliers, and it's no surprise, it's the 2-1 seeds. The Thunder won 68 games. Oklahoma City and Cleveland made statements in round 1 that they're not playing around. And I look at, like you highlighted this series versus the Clippers, and it's a different level of depth and versatility and perimeter defense they're facing with this Thunder team, where you have 4 guys are all defensive caliber, and then you have Hardenstein, used to play on this Nugget team. He knows Jokic kind of fairly well, and then Chet Holmgren as well. I just expect to play better. So I'm also going to go with the Thunder in 6 games, but I'm really just hoping for a great series. You need the version of Nikola Jokic you're getting in the best version of 2023.
Jamal Murray, it has to be the best he's ever dribbled the basketball.
Ever. Yeah.
Like
Ever.
if you thought Nickeil Alexander-Walker ball pressure was tough in the Minnesota series, the shit that Oklahoma City is going to throw out there on the perimeter is going to be nightmarish, dude.
Yeah. And I just worried too of only 2 days of rest, because there's a tweet after Game 4 by Mark Spears that Aaron Gordon can barely jump, and yet he's still going out there and giving you 16, 8, and 4.
That reverse lob that he
was
had,
pain.
dude,
that was
crazy.
awesome.
So
Yeah.
with the injury that they have, I'm just hoping that they get them right, able to get through that series healthy, and I just don't think it is really gonna matter.
I'm going to sleep in my
What's
Alex
your prediction,
Caruso
John?
jersey in this series.
My Thunder in 6.
Okay. OKC is the best team in the league for a reason. I think the Nuggets role players really showed out in round 1, and we got a better Jokic in round 2, more like the best player in the world, Jokic. So I'm gonna go with OKC in 6, but I do think OKC will win this series. And then the last series, the Timberwolves or the Rockets or Warriors.
I'm choosing not to share my opinion on this series until the finale of Game 7 tomorrow. I'm just, using my Fifth Amendment here. That being said, it's going to be a fun series. I'm excited for it, regardless of which team is showing out. However, I will be rooting my ass off for Houston to win tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
I'll go. I think the Wolves beat both of these teams. I feel like. I think Anthony Edwards would probably be the best player in the series. I mean, certainly against Houston, but especially I think he'd probably be better than Steph in that matchup too. And then I think the Wolves are just like a better, more physical team. Incredible matchup for the rebounding aspect of the Rockets. If they win Game 7, it's like who better to like try and neutralize Steven Adams than the kind of front court shit the Wolves can throw out there. So I don't know. It would depend on the team for like certain games, but I do feel like the Wolves should beat either one of these teams.
I should be on mute for this segment because I think I've been wrong about Minnesota in every single stage of the last 3 years. They're a very tough team for me to predict. It seems, but I'm also going to go with them in either of these two matchups. Like you highlighted, if you go double big against Minnesota, they have the personnel, and I feel like this year's really highlighted just how much versatility they have in both ends. And really, like we talk about this Clippers series, like they're old, they look slow, they look tired. With the T-Wolves, it's a completely different story. They're juiced up, they're energized, and they're 9 guys deep.
Oh, shit.
Shout
out to Jaden McDaniels. That's what I meant to say on here.
They're pulling
This
guys.
has been the best season for his career.
And Julius Randle plays far and away the best series that we've seen from him. If he can continue bringing that, I feel like it's a team that you can comfortably say it's going to count pounds. And again, I mean, they're such an enigma to me because I've always picked, and 2 years ago, I picked them to be the 1 seed. They finished the 8 seed a year earlier than the 1 seed. My opinion, the Wolves should be obsolete until I finally get a prediction right on them. But
hey, if I take them to win and they lose, I'm like, guys, come on. Every time I picked you to lose, you've won. So let's figure it out.
Yep.
I'm going to go. The Timberwolves are going to beat either one of these teams in the second round, and I think Anthony Edwards is going to lead the Timberwolves to their second straight Western Conference Finals, which is remarkable given the history of this franchise and how far they've come now. But
I'm just going to say this, and it's the only thing I'll say in regards to it. I've seen the Rockets play the Wolves exceedingly well. I've seen them play them.
So did you choose not to answer because you're going to pick the Rockets to win the series?
I'm not saying that per se. I just want to see what happens tomorrow night is all.
Okay.
I guess Ime Udoka, how much do you fuck with Jalen Green? Because if we make some tough decisions, maybe that series gets a little bit more competitive.
Minnesota. That's one thing I want to say in regards. Jack, you know
I could not be less moved than I already am.
You know where I stand on JG. I love him. I'm a fan more than anything. I will never turn my back on JG. His impact's bigger than the box score. His defense has been incredible. That being said,
his defense has been good, yes.
He has been a human torch against Minnesota this season.
Okay. Hey, respect.
And that's going to do it for us. We're going to read some super chats, but Jack, we really appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks, Pookie.
Doing this live reaction.
Thanks for having me on,
Very
fellas.
short notice. It's always a great time talking to you, man.
Yeah, when the Nuggets win, I'm here. When they lose, don't ask. I'm gone, baby.
Jack, I do hope in the future that you and I can have some more agendas that we can see eye to eye on.
Well, theoretically, if both of our teams are out of the postseason, I feel like there will be more potential for overlap in how we feel.
I love that.
All right, I'm getting out of here. Take it easy, guys.
All right.
Peace out,
See you, bro. Have a great night. We have the super chat from Jalen Green with an E. No Drew, no ducking. Talk about those Lakers, Drew.
Yo, I gotta say, it really was the most unfortunate timing of all time. Last week, starting work, and then on top of it, I wish so badly that the Lakers had won because then me missing, people really would have been like, damn, Drew's not here to celebrate. But obviously, we got dog walked. It wasn't even close. What is there to say? We got smoked in 5. It happens. I'm sad about it. Shout out to Minnesota. They're better than us. They were better than us for 5 games. Well, 4 games. They were better than us. They closed better than us. Not much to say. The only thing I will say, and this is me being 100% transparent, and I texted you guys the day after it happened. there's nobody that's made me eat more shit than Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert in game 5 basically said, yo, Andrew, for all the shit talking you've done in the past calendar year, I want you to hold this 27 and 24. And for that, a job well done, Rudy.
Yeah, with the box score and the offensive impact, it was very hard to not pay attention to that. But Rudy Gobert quietly was so elite defensively against them in all these switches.
And I told you every single time when he was off the court, I was thrilled because when he was on that court, was one of the scariest players I've ever seen my Lakers go up against. And I'm not even exaggerating. He was amazing.
There's something to be said that when the NBA does that most overrated players poll and they pull the players, the 2 players that are voting the most overrated are Tyrese Halliburton and Rudy Gobert almost always. It feels like players enjoy playing those guys the least, and they're annoying, they're frustrating to play, particularly Gobert as a defensive player, where it's like, damn, I've had enough of this guy. I can't stand him. And what he's doing on a night-in, night-out basis kind of drives teams crazy. Like this year is a good example of that.
So we have 300 viewers in the chat right now. Make sure you guys drop a like. Whoopity Scoopity goes OKC in 5. As a Thunder fan, I feel the only Western team left will struggle with is Minnesota. I feel the same way. I think Minnesota has a real shot against OKC. They have the best shot against OKC because they can match their physicality, their size, their shooting. And I think there is potential for Anthony Edwards to go band for band with SGA in a series.
He was way better in the first round. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I will say Minnesota will give them a good series. I also want to respect the Rockets' defense. I do think OKC would beat them as well, but I see OKC beating Minnesota regardless.
And this wasn't a super chat, but it fits the theme. Jared Osei, Redick really made one of the worst offensive centers of all time look like Shaq.
No, he didn't. Rob Pelinka did. When we decided to not get Mark Williams and have no center.
No Jackson Hayes though.
That killed me. So you're right.
Yeah. I have to see their offensive rating and stuff when he was on the court because JJ Redick said that they couldn't score when he was on there. So I have to see. Mason goes, which player left would benefit the most from a ring?
Jimmy Butler.
We have Tatum, we have Brunson, we have
Jimmy Butler,
Donovan Mitchell, and Halliburton.
Without a doubt, in my opinion, the answer is still Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum with 2 championship rings before the age of 28 years old, with all the shit talking that gets put on Jason Tatum's name from all of us realistically, another championship with the way that he played in the first series. If he were to continue that level of play throughout the entirety of the playoffs and cap it off with a championship, nobody gets looked at in a more different light, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was thinking of ringless guys, but another name, shout out to Cam in the chat. If Westbrook wins a ring with this Nugget team sacrificing, evolving, and growing as a player with MVP, I think that does a ton for his legacy and arguably more. I think it would be, even if he's coming off the bench and playing a smaller role than Jimmy, pretty impactful.
Who would benefit the most from a ring? I mean, Brunson winning the Knicks their first championship since the 70s. I think
great answer.
That would be one of the biggest moments in sports history, especially how much of an underdog they are to even win it all. But a more realistic aspect or approach of it would, I think SGA. I think SGA would solidify himself and it would solidify OKC. Sam Presti has been one of the best GMs in the league for a while now, and he doesn't have that championship to show for it. Or Anthony Edwards. I think if Anthony Edwards goes on a run, he becomes the face of the league instantly. Like, there is nobody more marketable than him after a championship. Like, I think he instantly becomes the next guy in the NBA.
Agreed.
The next face. So I was looking at Jackson Hayes on the court, 48 possessions with Luka, Reeves, Rui, LeBron, 93.8 offensive rating, a minus 37.5 differential. Yeah, that was
it's heartbreaking. Breaks my heart genuinely.
Greedo goes, I looked forward to this game just for it to be over in the end of the second quarter. With injuries, it should have been Clips. Detroit, New York was closer. Shaking my head.
With injuries,
I think
it should have been Clips, and then he's saying Detroit and New York was closer.
Detroit and New York was an extremely close series, but with injuries, I'm wondering, who is he talking about?
I don't know because nobody was hurt for.
That's what I'm wondering, because again, this was the healthiest Clippers team that we've seen in maybe the entire tenure that Kawhi Leonard's been a Clipper outside of 2020.
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about, but yeah, maybe if they didn't come out sluggish, that would have been better. But that's gonna do it for the super chats we had to read. If you guys made it this far, make sure you guys drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. He said MPJ shoulder, so maybe he's talking about the Nuggets. It should have been an easier series.
That makes sense.
Yep, that does make sense. He said, John, I can't shake the Sid comparison now, bro.
Nice.
Sid wishes
Oh
he
my
looked like you,
goodness.
John.
All right, John, we're gonna get out of here. Let you finish doing your thing. Drew, you're gonna get out of here. You guys have a lovely night.
John,
everybody,
before we go, is there any closing remarks you would like to make on the Nuggets?
Nuggets in 7.
Respect.
Nuggets in 7.
Cap. You don't believe that. You don't believe that.
Hey, we can all lie to ourselves somehow. Let your bias drive you.
Oh,
John.
no, I'm just talking about tonight. Fuck tomorrow.
It's tonight. Okay, that's gonna do it. Make sure you guys like, subscribe to the channel. We'll be here tomorrow night, and we'll see you guys next time.